This is the introduction to the federal income tax course. The objective today is to become familiar with the Form 1040, which you may access on the Internal Revenue Service website at www.irs.gov. You will see on the left side we have the forms and publications, and you would click on the 1040, and that would bring up your Form 1040. So you see we have a 1040 on the screen. The 1040 has 12 major sections. The first section is your heading section. This shows the tax year you are filing for, which is usually for the year before the current year. For example, the 1040 for the year tax return for the 2010 year, you would file that in 2011, usually by April 15th of each year. The next section is your name, address, and social security number section, which is pretty explanatory. However, you need to make sure that the information is correct. The next section is your filing status. There are 5 filing statuses, and you would check 1, either single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, or qualifying widower. Your next section is your exemptions section. You have an exemption, your personal exemption, and you would check the box for yourself, an exemption for your spouse, or your dependent exemptions, and you would put their names and social security numbers and age and relationship, not age, but your name, social security number, dependents, relationship, and whether or not your child is under the age of 17, you would check the box. The next section is your income section. In this section, you will report all income received in the form of money, services, or property received during the tax year. This is your total income or your gross income. Most employees receive a W-2 that shows their yearly income on line 7, and this would give you your total income on line 22. The next section is your adjusted gross income. These are categories that allow you to subtract from your total income. For example, educator expenses on line 23. You get the total on line 36, and line 37 gives you your adjusted gross income by taking your total income, subtracting your adjusted gross income, and subtracting your adjustments to get your adjusted gross income. This takes us to page 2. On page 2, the next section is your tax and credit section. Where your taxable income is computed using your adjusted gross income and subtracting your deductions and exemptions. Then your tax is calculated on line 44, which is a formula, and then you have credits that reduce your tax to get another tax. The next section is your other taxes, which will give you your total tax on line 60. Your next section is your payment section. This includes your withheld taxes, your estimated taxes, your other credits, and if your payments, your total payments, are larger than your taxes from line 60, then you get a refund, which is your next section. The amount that you overpaid, which is on line 73. But if you had less withholding than your taxes, then you owe. The next section is your third-party designee, where you designate someone who can discuss your return with the IRS. And your final section is your sign here section, which you sign and your tax preparer would sign. I'd like to thank you for taking this brief overview of the 1040.